Koudelka is a game that is one flaw away from being one of the greatest RPGs ever made. Most people have never heard of it, and even fewer people have played it to the end. The voice acting is amazing, the soundtrack is fantastic, the cutscenes are cutting edge, for the time, the environments are immersive, the characters are well written, the designs are gorgeous, and well, if that's the case, why does barely anyone know this game exists? Let's unravel the mystery. Koudelka is actually the first game in the beloved Shadow Hearts series. I love Shadow Hearts, and I had never even heard of this game. What in the hell happened? It's the combat. The battle system is so bad that it overshadows everything good in this game. Even then, the battle system has some interesting elements to it, but hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. For the full context of why this battle system is so devastatingly bad, let's learn us a little something about the game and its very interesting development. Really quick though, before the video starts, I just wanted to say a few things. Number one, please check out the linkies in the description and come join our Discord server so we can chat and I can look at pictures of your pets. Number two, this video is really long, way longer than I've ever done before, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I kind of wanted to talk about this game in depth because I really like it in kind of like a retrospective way, but you guys let me know if this is like a Death Stranding type situation where I'm Kojima and I really need to be reined in a little bit. If this is way too long, listen, I won't do it again, but if you do like how long it is, we'll go from there. Koudelka is a game developed by Saknoth for the PS1. It is the sexiest gothic horror role-playing game. The main guy responsible for this game is one Hiroki Kikuta. He was a composer for Square and did the music for several games, including Secret of Mana. He was basically the head of every aspect of this game, except for the combat design. Kikuta was very particular about design aspects of the game. The team sifted through over 100 actors to find voices for the characters. Mind you, the amount of characters in this game is in the single digits, and at least half of those only really say one or two lines. Similarly, the character designs were picked from over 100 sketches to make sure that they had the absolute best of the best. Koudelka is a JRPG, but it actually had all of the voice work done purely in English, with the native Japanese version of the game being subtitled. The team wanted a more European feel to the game, and early Japanese reviews often stated that the game felt like a Western horror movie. Several members of the team spent time in Wales, where the game takes place, to really get a feel for the architecture and aesthetic of the location. The entirety of the game plays out in a Gothic-style monastery that is inspired by the places they studied. The cutscenes were so nuts and included enough characters on screen at a time that the team had to travel to Santa Monica to use Hollywood-level motion capture technology. The way that the characters interact, gesture, and emote is genuinely impressive for a PS1 game. Keep in mind when looking at these scenes that they were recorded in 1998. Clearly, a lot of love and dedication went into creating this game. So let's take a look at the story and the game itself. Spoilers will be included, so if you'd like to skip the story segment of this video, there will be a timestamp for you. This is going to be the long part of the video. This game is actually agonizing to play, but it has such good characters, cutscenes, and story. I really want people to be able to see it without having to suffer through playing it, so here we go. We see Koudelka, our protagonist, knocking on a large door that doesn't budge. Here's a little nugget of information for you. That horse walks very strangely. In a big fuck you to the door, she begins to climb over the wall. Why is she here? Why did no one answer the door? Why are her horse's legs so weird? The mystery begins. I'm gonna go ahead and just let the rest of the intro cutscene play out because it's just so good.
Too early, Angel. I'm not dead yet.
Not yet, but it looks like you're going to die soon.
Maybe. But you'll have to pardon me while I tend to some unfinished business first.
Business? What can you possibly accomplish in your condition? You can't even hold your gun steady.
Well, no unless I try. That thing's not gonna die unless I shoot it 2 or 3 times. Damn it! Here, use this.
God damn it, that was so cool. Holy fuck, did you see that thing slap the shit out of her? I'm gonna gush about these cutscenes a lot the entirety of this story segment, so I'm not sorry. Anyway, you have your first fight with this little critter. And once you take him out, it's time to learn a little bit about the handsome blonde man that is dying on the floor. Koudelka seems a little bit hostile towards this guy, but she decides to help him out and use her magical powers to cure him since he helped her in the fight.
Okay, let's go. Stand up or I'll leave you here.
What happened? It doesn't hurt anymore. I'm cured.
Yeah, and so I cured you, so what?
You? You cured me. But I was almost dead.
The man is quite impressed by Koudelka's healing abilities and introduces himself as Edward J. Plunkett. Fun fact, that's a real dude's name from history. This entire series really likes making historical references to people, places, and even putting a twist on historical events. Koudelka's name is also borrowed from a famous photographer. It seems that she was right in being a bit abrasive towards this guy, as it turns out the reason he's here is to rob the place. However, instead of finding treasures, he got attacked by that monster, and the monastery appears to be abandoned. You explore a bit and find that the entire area is just crawling with monsters. The rumors Edward had heard of the monastery having treasures and riches were clearly inaccurate. Eventually, the pair stumbles across the caretakers of the building. They're extremely friendly and state that they too have been seeing monsters as of late, but they really aren't sure what's going on. They offer some soup and some supplies. Edward accepts while Koudelka is more suspicious and refuses to eat.
Now this would make good rations. Let's take some with us.
I can't believe it. Are you still hungry?
I didn't have anything to eat or drink for 3 days. Of course I'm hungry. Speaking of which, you wasted all of that food. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, if it weren't poisoned, then I would have had some.
Yep, turns out the kindly old couple deliberately poisoned them. For the second time, Koudelka saves Edward with her magical powers. They decide it's safer to let the couple assume that they're dead since they're clearly trying to kill them. Plus, they have a sneaking suspicion that this may not be the first time that this couple has done this to someone. As the duo moves deeper into the monastery, they find a priest collapsed on the ground. Once the monster's defeated, they have a little chat.
Would you mind telling us how you ended up collapsed on this path?
My name is James. James O'Flaherty. I've been searching for something and it took me to the monastery. Little did I know that it'd become a breeding ground for demonic spirits.
Then how did you get in here dressed like that?
Through the main gate, of course. The caretakers welcomed me with open arms.
That husband and wife team? And the food? Was there no poison in your food?
What are you talking about? Are you out of your mind?
Those caretakers tried to poison and kill us.
That's not funny. I find it inappropriate for you to try to dupe an upstanding believer of the Christian faith.
James is a little bit not a fan of the pair, but he did almost just get his ass handed to him by a giant monster, so...
Although I'm under the protection of the Lord, it doesn't hurt to take precautionary measures. I think I'll go with you.
While you get to know James, he really kind of comes across as condescending. He makes it very apparent that he views anyone that's not directly in line with his Catholic beliefs as lesser. Edward and Koudelka both regularly make blasphemous statements. Koudelka tends to go full nihilistic atheism and states that she thinks it's dumb that James constantly begs for help from, quote, someone he's never met, while people suffer and die in front of him every day, while Edward has more of an air of just not caring about God because his priority is fortune. Existential religious debates come up frequently in this game, and honestly, it's kind of interesting. During an argument about religion and poetry of all things, because Edward is super into quoting books and poetry, the conversation is suddenly interrupted by the caretakers shooting at them. James still really denies that they're trying to kill anyone. He thinks that they're wonderful, sweet people. Things continue to get weirder as the deeper and deeper into the monastery they go, the more and more dead bodies they're finding. The ghosts of these dead, murdered people start fucking with them, and Koudelka starts to reveal why she's here.
The spirits floating in this room. I can let them possess my body so they can talk. The reason I came here is I heard the cry of one particular female voice. They were imprisoned and tortured and thousands of them.
Kill them! They cut off my fingers. They crushed my legs. They smashed my head and cut out my guts. They took everything from me. They locked me up and chopped my body.
My eyes!
The spirits of the monastery seem to be growing increasingly aggressive.
Don't touch me. You piss off! Go to hell!
One of the particularly aggravated spirits is a girl dressed in all white.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey.
Edward.
You should have just died before. I wanted you to lay down and die.
A ghost?
As we continue to encounter this ghost, we learn more about her.
My name is Charlotte. Not that it means anything. Not that you have a prayer. I'm talking to 3 dead people. Nobody's gonna save you. Nobody.
So you died here as well?
Yes, I died here too, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They locked me up in here right after I was born. They beheaded me the day I turned 9. Happy birthday. I've been trapped here ever since, and no one even knows who I am.
My poor little angel.
Poor little angel, me? Save your pity for yourself. You'll be dead within 3 days.
Not true. I don't know what your circumstances are, but I know that your mother loved you very, very much.
My mother? I don't know her face, her name, where she came from. Nothing. You're telling me that means nothing? From the day I was born, the day I died, no one will ever love me. And I never wanted to be loved. Just die! All of you! Just die!
Fun fact, Charlotte's voice actress is Sarah Paxton when she was 12 years old. She's in a ton of stuff. I personally know her from Halloween Town and Aquamarine, but yeah, I mean, she's in a lot of stuff. The gang notices that they're being followed by something other than ghosts. Remember how I said earlier their conversation was interrupted by somebody shooting at them? Well, it happens again.
What the?
However, this time it's actually not the caretakers, which is who they expected. It's a guy that says he's a thief. He's here for the riches, same as Edward.
I'm an immigrant. I'm a thief, and maybe I did drop a chandelier on you. But that's just because I wanted the whole pie for myself.
So you did kill all these people?
No. I swear to God. Not your God, bigot.
What do you mean?
It was the couple. The couple who look after this place.
What?
I'm telling you the truth. I've seen them. I've been down here a long time. Usually they use an axe when they catch thieves. The thieves come down here unarmed. They're stupid. They get caught from behind. I'd watch my back if I were you.
Unbelievable.
No, I'm telling you. The lucky ones die on the first strike. I've heard the others screaming through the night, clutching their bellies. I find them in the morning dead. No, I'm telling you, their fingers to their hearts, right through to their organs with the pain. Look, take it or leave it, but I'm telling you the truth, those two, they're Satan incarnate. I may look shady, but killing's not my style. Look, the more wholesome they look on the outside, the colder and uglier the heart is. Just look at him!
Yeah. Good assessment for a thief.
You're crazy if you believe this scoundrel. This killer's obviously executed hundreds of people. He needs to be turned into the police and judged in a proper forum.
We're crazy. Why? Just because he's an immigrant? Or is it because he's one of the unsaved? That's bull and you know it, you pig-headed old bigot.
What I'm trying to say is...
I believe this guy. Thieves can be exceedingly honest, you know? Still, he did try to kill us. For that.
What did you do that for?
All right, well, apparently Edward doesn't have any problem just point blank killing a dude. Everybody doesn't really know how to respond to that, so they just kind of move past it. In the library, James is really looking for something. It's clear he's looking for something specific, but he won't say what. Edward starts quoting Shakespeare and is quite the smart boy. They press on and James continues looking for whatever it is he's looking for. Here's where the game starts to get a little bit weird.
What? What is that? Is that just a mummy? Cross your fingers.
That was disappointing.
Holy Savior! The secret of the Fomors from the bottom of the sea. Immigrate!
Did you say immigrate document? What do you know about the immigrate document? Where is it? Answer me!
Immigrate document? Is that what you've been looking for? Hey, you crotchety old fart! I am sick of this! You don't want to talk? Fine. I'll slit your holy throat and leave your body for the rats!
Edward?
I have no choice. Here it is. I'm on instructions direct from the Vatican. There is a manuscript. It's said to be somewhere in the building.
And that manuscript is?
Right. It's called the immigrate document.
We find out that this document James is looking for was stolen by the owner of the monastery, a rich guy named Patrick that James knows personally. And he knows Patrick to be kind of a weird guy that dabbled in mysticism and necromancy. At some point in the search for Patrick, the monastery bells toll midnight and the hottest, I meant to say hardest, the hardest boss in the game pulls up. You know, I was gonna re-record that, but that's really funny. You're gonna see just how hot this guy is.
What's that bell?
Just the passing of another day. Oh no, today's All Saints' Day.
The spiritual energy is coming together. What power? It's like a monster.
What? What's happening? This can't be. No! Koudelka!
The sexy gargoyle. I don't know how I'm supposed to take this seriously. The sexy gargoyle separates Koudelka from the group. You're forced to have a fight with him with just Koudelka in your party, but he's actually invincible at this time, so your only option is to run away. Naturally, being alone and separated from the group leaves Koudelka in a vulnerable position. Ogden, one of the caretakers, continues his pursuit of her and manages to bonk her on the head, and then this unhinged shit happens.
Are you awake? These ruffians! You harlot! Strumpet! Have you no shame? Oh, if only Elaine had been saved, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Elaine?
Yes. She was merciful. She was benevolent. She believed me, and she was fond of my paintings.
Your paintings? The sun.
It wasn't my fault! All of a sudden, there was a coal ship out of nowhere. It was dark. What could we do? It sank so fast. I was faultless. Elaine. Poor Elaine. If only I'd stayed with her. Hey, you! Hey, how's that? Just a lamp? I'll make you just a lamp?
You're crazy!
Shut up!
Honey, let's stop this now. It's time to stop. It's okay. It's over. I'm sorry. My husband, a long time ago, he was the captain of a big pleasure boat. It was a gorgeous boat. He was so proud of it. But then there was the accident. So many people died. Everyone blamed my husband. It was so difficult for him. He started drinking heavily. Silly, isn't it? No matter how much you drink, you can't forget such a tragedy. But he met Elaine. She believed he was innocent. She helped him carry on.
This Elaine, she's dead?
Yes. Why is it that good people seem to die so early? What a waste. While Elaine's husband Patrick was traveling, a robber broke into their house. My husband has always said, if only I had been there for her. We should stop this conversation now. My husband is waiting. He can be so impatient, you know?
After that debacle, Koudelka continues on her mission to reunite with James and Edward. On the way, she runs into the weird mummy that sat up in the coffin before and spoke.
Where are my manners? Hello! My name is Roger Bacon. I am a monk from the Franciscan order.
A monk?
Yep, that's Roger Bacon, yet another real historical figure. He explains that he's hundreds of years old and that's why his appearance is so haggard, but he is not, in fact, a mummy.
Why were you sleeping in such a strange place?
I've never been able to awake in a good mood. And I just planned to rest for a while.
Upon reuniting, Koudelka tells the other two that the caretakers are dead. She also explains what she found out about them, which is that they were essentially luring thieves to the monastery so that they could kill them. This explains why both Edward and the thief that he had shot earlier had both heard rumors of amazing treasures just to be poisoned and hunted down. The caretakers wanted to kill thieves because it was a thief that broke in the night and killed the owner of the monastery's wife, Elaine. They viewed it as a form of revenge on the type of people that would be willing to break into the monastery. The name Elaine prompts James to tell us more of his backstory. He knew the owner, Patrick, from university and competed with him for the love of this woman that was killed. Eventually, James felt that he didn't have the money or the social standing to be worthy of Elaine and stopped his pursuit of her despite the fact that he loved her. This is how she ended up with Patrick and thus at the monastery where she was eventually killed by thieves. However,
I have a hard time believing the caretakers were acting on revenge alone. Believe me, it was an unimaginably heinous sight. And what about these monsters that keep appearing? No, there's a bigger secret we have yet to uncover. This is the key to Patrick's mansion. Shall we go?
on the way to Patrick's mansion, you run into Charlotte again and she attacks you with some ghost furniture. Fortunately for us, along our travels, we got a bit of Charlotte lore and found some letters from her mother, who she had thought abandoned her.
Stop it. If you keep this up, you're the only one that's going to get hurt.
I'm not fooling around. I don't want your pity. I have enough.
Charlotte, listen to me. I understand you. We're very similar, you know.
You could never understand me. How could you? I've never been out of this place. I was born and I was executed. On the day I was killed, a priest came to me and said, "Dear Lord, please accept into your glorious kingdom this poor, sinful lamb." Tell me, what did I do that was so bad? Is it my fault I was born? If I was born just to be killed, why did she have me?
Oh, My mother abandoned me too. I've been alone ever since I was a little girl, just like you. That's why
That's why what? That's why you understand me? That's why you're like me? Don't make me laugh. You're not like me. You're alive. What do you mean you're alone? What do you mean you understand? Give me a break.
Oh, Charlotte, I'm so sorry. I want you to understand. I really...
A curse upon you.
What?
A curse upon you.
Charlotte.
On you, on your friends, a curse upon you all. I will kill everything. Why don't you just die? Die! When everything is dead and gone, then we'll be the same. Only then will you understand my pain. I know what it is to regret being born. I will kill you! Kill you! Kill you!
That's the scene that happens if you don't find an item for Charlotte and she attacks you. Her boss form looks like this, and it is deeply unsettling. If you do find the item, this happens.
Charlotte, do you know what these are? They're letters from your mother.
My mother? Letters? There's so many!
Did you know that your mother was a queen of Hanover? It seems that after you were born in secret, your mother was locked up inside Alden Castle. Even while she was imprisoned there, she sent many letters to you here in the monastery. She never laid eyes on you, but she often imagined what you looked like. She dreamt of the day when she would be able to see you. Her letters never got to you, and she was never told of your death, so she continued to write you letters even after you died. Your mother loved you, Charlotte.
What? No. I can't take this now. She love me? No. No. It's too scary. Hey, I feel warm. What's happening? No. Help me. You want me to forgive her? You love me? I hate you. Don't pray for me. You.
Charlotte, how does it feel to know you are loved?
After that lovely moment with Charlotte, inside Patrick's mansion, the crew bumps into Roger again and we get a big lore drop.
I know it's around here somewhere. Well, what took you so long?
Roger,
The mummy
I
that was in
haven't...
the coffin? Since when have you two been acquainted?
I am no mummy. My name is Roger Bacon, and I'm just like any normal old man.
Hey, I've been around for 20 years, and I have yet to run across an old man as abnormal as yourself.
I see. Well, I've been around for 600 years, and I've seen plenty of abnormal people just like myself.
My dear old man, might you be related to the great warlock Roger Bacon, who made such a name for himself in the 13th century?
You are very knowledgeable.
Just like when he popped out of the coffin, once again Roger brings up the emigre documents. You know, the documents that James is looking for.
The emigre documents. I figured you would know about that book.
Of course. It took me 5 years to copy the book in its entirety. I know everything there is to know about the book.
What is it about?
It unravels the secrets of life that expand far beyond the largest field.
Roger reveals that the emigre document is an incredibly dangerous document that explains how to resurrect the dead. However, the document could not stand the wears of time, and the Pope ordered Roger to copy it word for preservation.
And when the work was finished, Apparently, I was supposed to be killed. But I am not one to be dealt with so carelessly. I secretly escaped, and eventually I made my way to the sacred land referred to in the text.
Roger apparently used the emigre document on himself, and that's why he's a billion years old and hasn't died. Unfortunately, his body is not immune to the aging process. Now equipped with some context of what the emigre document actually is, we find some of Patrick's notes within the mansion. Reading the notes while the creepy-ass record music plays in the background was certainly an experience. These notes are, like, fucked up. Summarizing them does not do them any justice, but we're going to do that anyway. In short, the notes detail how Patrick planned to use the stolen emigre document to resurrect Elaine. The writings convey the feelings that he was determined to bring her back whatever the cost, and despite the fact that it was, quote, insolent in the eyes of the Lord. He found that in order to bring her back, he would need to harness the power of resentful spirits. A place with such a troubled past as the monastery would be a perfect location. However, that energy wasn't enough. He ordered the caretakers to bring him hundreds of animals to sacrifice in hopes that it would create more energy, but of course it didn't work. The notes continue on to describe his descent into depravity as he moves on to human sacrifices. The first human victims he describes as old with barely a thing to live for, and states that thinking of what must be done to them makes him sick to his stomach. The situation continues to escalate and nothing seems to work. He begins using his riches to purchase people en masse, and as the text goes on, any mention of remorse seems to fade away, replaced instead with the sentiment that he is growing quite efficient at performing the tasks required for the procedures. After hundreds of victims are sacrificed, Patrick is finally successful in reanimating his wife. However, he is sickened to find that only her body was reformed. She is but a monstrous husk that lacked a soul. Patrick surmises that this must be God's punishment for his horrific acts. Patrick is left to come to terms with the horrors he inflicted for nothing. It's heavily implied, though not confirmed, that in grief he then unsubscribes from life by his own hand. The group comes across a portrait of Elaine, and Koudelka is able to use her psychic abilities to summon her ghost. They have a lengthy conversation about what happened to her. She's aware that her reanimated body exists, and she begs them to destroy it so that she can be at peace. This is the reason that Elaine's ghost called Koudelka to the monastery.
Mr. O'Flaherty, please turn my body into ashes with your power.
Ashes? But if I do that, we won't be able to bring you back to life.
Mr. O'Flaherty, I was robbed of my life by those thieves, and I could hate them as mortal enemies. Choose to think that my death was preordained by the Lord. Please, do not mourn my death. It was wrong for Patrick to try to resurrect me, to undo the work of God.
Taking all of our findings back to Roger, he tells us that the only way to destroy Elaine's body is to use the mummified arm of Saint Daniel Scotius. To remind you of what the hell that is, several in-game hours ago, when the thief guy shoots down the chandelier on you, you find an arm on the ground next to it. That item has been in the inventory for a very long time, and apparently it's what we need.
Oh, Heavenly Father, bless our souls and bring forth an end to this suffering. Oh.
You fight this boss and he has nothing to do with the story, but just look at him, he's so cool. He's, kind of a pain in the ass though. At this point in the story, James momentarily leaves the group so he can go put together some nitroglycerin for a door that you need to get past. Edward and Koudelka are drinking to pass the time while they wait for James. And this is my favorite scene in the game. Some of the things discussed here are just really well done and I like it a lot. However, please remember that this did come out in the 90s and certain terminology used was more acceptable then than it is now. And it is a little bit long, but just give it a chance. It's a very emotional scene and I think it's pretty good.
And then, what happened to the girl Melanie?
She was gone the next morning. She left with practically everything in the room.
You don't have much luck with women, do you?
Well, you know what they say. The cleanest breakup is when a woman runs out on you.
What else is her statement? Oh, but you're lucky. I mean, to have so many people to kid around with. Me? I'm all alone. I've been all alone all my life.
What about your childhood?
Yes, I did have a childhood. I was born in a small town in Wales, right off the banks of the Taliesin River. It was a small gypsy town.
Gypsy?
That's right, gypsy. And we didn't call ourselves gypsy. We called ourselves Rom. See, a true gypsy is born under the blue sky and is destined to die under the same blue sky. It's gypsy law.
So then I guess you plan on dying underneath the blue skies.
Every gypsy is given a name at birth. My given name was Slato.
Slato?
Mm-hmm.
It's got a strange resonance to that name. What does it mean?
I can't tell you.
That too must be part of the law?
The law it is.
You know, ever since I met you, enigmatic, mysterious glint in your eyes. And it must be the gypsy in you. A glance from thy soul-searching eye can raise with hope, depress with fear.
Byron again?
Yeah.
You must really like him, don't you?
Yes. So I feel as though we're birds of a feather.
Then he must be self-obsessed as well.
I'd rather be classified as a romantic. My father was a strict man and couldn't forgive his son for failing academically. He blamed my failure on the time I wasted inventing adventures, dreaming of a utopian landscape. I was brought up to believe that dreams, the power of the imagination, as well as all the things I loved as a child, were useless, a complete waste of time. It was as if he was telling me I was useless. And again, maybe just that. You know, I think I was probably born too late. By the time I was 15, everything there was to be done had already been done. The Western territories were colonized. The jungles had been explored. There was no wilderness for me to wander into. No jungles for me to cut my way through. I guess that's how I ended up roaming the country. Well, granted, I picked a few fights along the way, played with fire, gambled on my life a few times. But none of that comes close to the truth I'm searching for. I yearn for something far greater. I can't quite explain myself, but it's as though I'm on a quest for some intangible treasure of sorts. Koudelka, I envy you. You have psychic powers that few are blessed with. Being born a gypsy, you can choose to live how you wish.
And who gave you the right to act as if you figured me out? Do you have any idea how I was raised? You make me laugh. Adventures. Please, you haven't the slightest clue. Do you have any idea how much pain my psychic powers have brought me? My father died when I was only a child. I predicted the exact time, place, and ending of my father's life. Imagine that, predicting your own father's death. You know, I was cursed as a child, being given powers not meant for a child. And my mother? Oh, she was so frightened and so full of hatred for me. She tried to kill me with her very hands. The gypsy elders got together and decided to excommunicate me. I was only 9 then. Do you have any idea how a 9-year-old child survives without the help of a living soul? Treasures, you must be joking. Have you ever cried and begged for your next meal? Did you ever sell your body, seeking shelter from the frigid night air? I used to be just like Charlotte. When she cried and said, "No one has ever loved me." Oh, her words cut straight through me. It was me she was talking about. Just like her, I wish that everybody would die and harbored a hatred for all mankind. But you see, Charlotte has made her peace and gone to heaven. Me, I'm still alive and still all alone. No one has ever lent a helping hand. No one.
Koudelka, you?
I am not as free as you make me out to be. I am a poor, dirty, ignorant woman who threw her gypsy pride to the dogs in order to live. But you see, even someone like me can do good. Because with my powers, I can help ease the pain of others. That's when I feel good about living. I don't need to be loved. I just want my life to have some meaning. And just want someone to tell me they need me. You. No way will you ever understand.
The nitroglycerin that James prepared works to get the door open, and now it's time to see if we can destroy Elaine's body.
It's amazing. Patrick. Poor Patrick.
Hey, what are you doing? What's that? No, don't!
I'm not asking for your help. This is my problem. None of you need to die with me here. Are you sure? Let's proceed. St. Daniel Scotius, protect us from these evil spirits and grant us inner strength. Amen. were created and born out of dust. Now, go quietly and return to thy maker!
So I just want to point out that in this area, a lot of these little vine guys attack you, and they all look like this, right? But at some point, one of them has Patrick's dead body stuck to it, which is neat. You progress and, well, you find Elaine's body.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
You begin running up the church stairs in an attempt to get away from Elaine, but, no, please, why is she so scary? If you haven't guessed, Elaine is our final boss. She's pretty difficult and has 3 phases. Her final phase goes a little something like this. This phase of the fight is the most difficult. As we approach the ending of the game, there are 3 things that can happen. I'll show all 3, but first we'll look at the canon ending. In this ending, you actually fail to defeat Elaine. Like I mentioned, this fight is genuinely pretty difficult, so I think that this is intentional. I can't say for sure, but I think it is so that you actually do get the canon ending first. Getting absolutely destroyed by the scary bitch prompts this final cutscene.
Is this my fault? Do you blame me? Are you punishing me now because the path to my faith was tainted? I accept my fate. If it is your wish, then I accept my fate. He who has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is to go into captivity he will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword he will be killed. I am what I am. I am content with my lot. I have always loved you, Elaine.
Let's go home, James. Let's go home. I have such fond memories of those days.
No! Flames are coming this way!
Don't be silly. There must be something we can do. We'll be fine. Trust me.
In these crazy times, young people push themselves too much.
Ah, the sun came out. I prefer it a little hazier, though. goodbye. We'll probably never see each other again.
Hey, your nickname. Slato? What does it mean? I haven't even asked you yet. Will you tell me?
It means treasure.
Oh, that's rich. I'll remember that. Treasure.
Is it okay, child, for you not to follow him?
Yeah, it's okay. I have a feeling that someday, somewhere, we'll meet again.
So you're telling me Koudelka's name means treasure and Edward is a treasure hunter? 10 out of 10, no criticisms. I don't care if you think that's cringe or silly. 10 out of 10. I love it. That's the cutest thing I've ever heard. Oh, and James dies in this ending. But listen, sometimes you gotta make sacrifices to get the cute ending, you know? So worth. Anyway, as you may have guessed by that whole, oh, I think we'll meet each other again sometime in the future, Koudelka originally was planned to have 4 games. That never happened. However, we did get the Shadow Hearts series, which is set in the same universe with all the same weird little history twists. This game and this specific ending set up the events for the first Shadow Hearts game. Koudelka herself is actually in that game, and Edward is sort of talked about, but not really, but kind of. There is also a 3-part Koudelka manga series. Anyway, it really is a shame to me that the full planned story for these characters never got to see the light of day. All because the freaking combat is so bad, it's actually depressing. We do still need to talk about that, but first let's check out the non-canon endings. Here's what happens if you manage to defeat Elaine.
I have seen the most interesting happenings. It would be a waste to go back to sleep just yet.
Hey, Koudelka. I wonder what she was about to say.
Dead people don't speak. It's just in your memories.
Huh? Is that how you explain what we just saw?
I guess.
Memories. Somebody told me that after a loved one's death, all we have is memories. In these, we maintain an eternal bond with the dead.
There is also one more kind of shitposty ending. You remember in the beginning of the game when Koudelka kind of almost falls off of the roof and a pendant flies off of her neck onto the ground? If you fail to find this pendant during your playthrough, this happens. And there you have it. That's the full story of Koudelka. Now, mind you, I did trim off a lot of the fat. I removed a lot of side conversations and religious debates. Those things are interesting, but I'm trying to just keep it to the most relevant stuff. This video is getting way too long already. Anyway, yeah, if you do want to play this yourself, there is a little bit more to see. So if you're like me and you really liked those cutscenes and you really liked the story and you're thinking to yourself, that was pretty good, that was interesting, the voice acting was amazing, what happened? Let's get to the gameplay. Here's where we get to my opinion. While this game certainly has other flaws, where it truly missed the mark was with its battle system. Everybody's gonna have different opinions on this, especially the die-hard Koudelka fans, which there aren't very many of you, but you do exist. So just take everything I say with a grain of salt. If you have a different opinion, that's totally fine. I think almost every aspect of this game is severely underrated. However, I kind of see why it never caught on. I think it had a lot of potential to be an extremely popular game. However, it never really took off and it barely ever gets talked about. Even within its own series, it gets completely neglected. Remember, there were supposed to be a total of 4 Koudelka games, but we just got this one and then it kind of spun off into Shadow Hearts. I've heard a lot of people say that they didn't understand the story or maybe they didn't like it. And that's totally understandable, that's completely subjective. But I think if this game had a decent to good battle system, a lot of people would consider this game a masterpiece. The combat, generally speaking, is your typical turn-based RPG, but it's on a grid. You use the grid to strategically place your team. The grid is actually kind of cool, I like it. You have to consider placement, knockbacks, where you can do the most damage without taking a ton of damage in return, and it's kind of a fun element at times. The problem is, if you play this game like it was originally intended, the combat is slow. Like slow. I played it the way that it originally came out. I literally only suffered through it this way because I A, wanted the genuine experience that people got in 1999, and B, really wanted to make this video, so there you have it. Now, when I say that the combat is slow, what I mean is some enemy attacks can take nearly a minute. I am not exaggerating. Plus, all of the combat is random encounters that pop up every few steps. Let me put this into perspective for you. Imagine you're playing Pokemon, but the entire game, even indoors, is tall grass. Repels do not exist. Every few steps, a squad of 3 Slowpokes roll up and potentially take a minute to do every single turn before you get to respond. Those Slowpokes have a pretty decent amount of HP, plus, sometimes after waiting all that time for your turn, you don't even get to attack. You have to do a decent amount of healing, buffing, and defensive spells. In the early game, spells can take several turns to cast before you even hit an enemy with them. Are you starting to see how long these fights can take? I literally just watched Kitchen Nightmares when I fought the gargoyle, that sexy boy. Now, even if you get onto an emulator and slap turbo mode on, I'm sure that would make the combat more or less tolerable. However, it would still be boring. It would also still have the issue that there are absolutely no shops or vendors in the game. Weapons break after a few hits, and the only way to replace them is with RNGesus blessing you with new ones at the end of a random encounter. Same with items. I went my entire game without a single piece of armor dropping. I don't know how. I went and I looked on like GameFaqs and they were like, oh, just wait for armor to drop. Literally didn't get a single piece. RNGesus hates me. Now, these weapons that break, certain weapons work better with certain character stats. So if your strength weapons all break and all you have is intellect weapons, fuck you. So that has to be where the issues end, right? Wrong. The beginning of the game is actually kind of difficult. The team wanted to make sure that players didn't get discouraged and could still make it to the end because they wanted them to see the story. So they wanted it to be easy enough that most people would be able to get through it. This is where stat scaling comes in. Stats are extremely important in Koudelka. When you level, every time you put a point into a stat, there are major increasing returns. This means that the first point of intellect, for example, that you give, let's say, Koudelka, doesn't really do that much. But the second point you put in does, let's say, double. The third one you'd put in puts in triple, quadruple, it goes on and on and on, and before you know it, your intelligence is pretty crazy. So it's easy to dump stats per each character's strengths, and before you know it, the game really isn't difficult anymore. Until it is. This game is either very difficult or very easy. It's extremely unbalanced, to say the least. It is a little bit jarring going from the squad absolutely dunking on house cats to then going on to some of the more menacing enemies and bosses. Now, because of this stat scaling, it's really important to do as many random battles as possible. You want your characters to be high level, because the more levels you have, the more stats you have, and the more stats you put into a character, the more increasing returns. This means that every time a random fight comes up, you know in your heart that you really should do it. Now, like I said, I don't think all aspects of the combat are bad, but I certainly think that the really slow pace is extremely off-putting to most people that would potentially be interested in this game. That's a problem. Anyway, I just wanted to mention the soundtrack real quick. Since Kikuta is a composer himself, the soundtrack is absolutely gorgeous. Seriously, even if playing this game doesn't appeal to you, just go listen to the soundtrack. It's very good. I did find a review from 2007 from a person on GameFaqs. I'll link it below in case anybody wants to take a look at a cool old review. He says, in fact, the slowness of the battles add to the creepy atmosphere and the accumulation of disturbing images and fears. My brother in Christ, there is a difference between a slow pace adding to the atmosphere and an enemy taking 45 seconds to attack you. Those are two different things. So if you're out there, person on GameFaqs from 2007, it's 2024 and I'm responding to that one specific line of your review. The rest of it was very nice though, I did enjoy it. But anyway, yeah, that's why I think ultimately this game never became super big or beloved. That's not to say that there aren't people out there that are huge fans of it. I really liked it, and clearly there's a ton of people that are super into it. However, it doesn't have the fan base of, let's say, Final Fantasy VII, or even the rest of its own series, and in my opinion, the pacing is exactly why. So overall, would I consider this game some hidden gem of the PS1 that's extremely underrated? In some regards, yes. In others, definitely not. It's unfortunate that the impressive cutscenes, voice acting, soundtrack, environments, and atmosphere all got bogged down by the battles and overall pacing. Unfortunately for Koudelka, it's comprised of some of the very best and the very worst. And when you average that out, you just get mediocre. Thank you so much for watching. I am deeply grateful for all of you that stopped by. If you made it this far into this long-ass video, I really appreciate you. Like I said, I'll try not to make a video this long again, unless it's something that you guys like. I'm thinking it's probably overkill, but I'll let you decide that. If you'd like to see more videos that are in-depth like this, be sure to let me know. If the general consensus is that we want some more long videos, Shadow Hearts will be the next victim. I'm still really new to this. At the end of the day, I've only made a couple of videos, so I don't know what's going to work and what isn't. This is just an experiment with longer videos, so we'll see how it goes. One last time, be sure to take a look at the linkies below, and if you enjoyed the video, consider subbing and check out the rest of the channel.
Just the passing of another day. Oh no, today's All Saints' Day.